thought I'd share some of the things that as I've gone. So one of the best abilities that you can get is to lunge at people from above. I recommend you use this as much as you can, especially to start a fight. The other thing you want to unlock and you want to use as much of is brutalize. So if you go to your weapons, weapons and runes, and with your sword you try and have something which will be I think it's with the dagger actually. Stealth kills cause additional terror, so any brutalized things, you really want to make sure you got at least one thing that will boost that up, because it's really useful if you want to finish a fight, especially if you're attacking a captain. Because what it will do is it will cause all of the enemies in the area to just do one for a bit, and then it will leave you one-on-one with the captain. Other things that you can use is use the environment as much as you can. The number one thing that I'd recommend is to unleash Caragors on your enemies as much as possible. Once you get the option to unlock the ability to ride them, I'd recommend doing that as much as you can. Most of the captains will be killable using the Caragors, so you actually don't have to take part in a lot of the fights if you boost that skill as much as possible. The other thing that I'd recommend when attacking captains and people is to get rid of all the archers that sit above. You cannot dodge bow shots in this game, and it's really difficult to know if you're being shot by an archer. If you are being shot by an archer, your health will just start to decrease, and then you'll be in for a shocker. If you find one of these targets and you're going for a captain, obviously I'm going to mark this guy. I've never come across him before. Having a look at Sauron's army, in my case, is looking a little bit sparse at the moment. What I'd recommend you do before you go into any fight is to take advantage of the Interrogation System, which I'll try and show you in a second if you haven't seen it, to find out as much information as you possibly can about these guys. Some of them can be killed with a single headshot from a bow, which just makes them a walkover. You don't even have to take part in a fight. Some of them are vulnerable to kills from like bushes, stealth attacks, drops from above. In that case they'll be killed in one hit. So this guy here, vulnerable to ranged attacks, essentially I won't even have to fight this guy. As long as you get a vantage point, shoot him straight in the head with the charged shot, you won't have to take part. Most of the other guards and people, captains, will be vulnerable to mounted beasts, so just get them anywhere that you need to, where you can unleash a Caragor. If there's not one nearby, you can ride one into battle, jump off it and run away if you want to. So his location, if we mark him as a target, let's go and try and fight this guy. So if you use... not that guy! If we use this to try and find him, I think we're a little bit too far away from them.
We cross paths with the Grave Walker. Stay out of my way.
So stay above as much as you possibly can. The little green icon on my radar now, just to the left of me, that is what you need to get to in order to do an interrogation. So doing an interrogation will essentially tell you those attributes that I've already found out about that guy. Then you can use them just to finish people off. We'll head over here to this fight, and I'll go through some of the tips that I'd recommend to take advantage of as you fight these people.
I thought I heard something.
Other kind of big tip, it's probably a little bit of common sense. If you're spotted by anybody, just run away. It really doesn't take much effort to escape from people in this, and it's often better to just run away than to actually take part in a fight if you think you've bodged it. Sometimes they'll follow you, but it's not... they won't follow you for miles. Okay, Dushrat the Duelist. Some of the strengths you do need to pay attention to. They won't always be scared of Caragors. Some of them will be the opposite of scared, so it'll actually come up as a strength. It basically means that if you release one, or you release some of the flies, or whatever it is that particularly annoys them, they will become more powerful, they become enraged, and a lot of your attacks won't work on them properly. That took me a while to figure out. So if you are doing a bunch of attacks that you normally do and it doesn't seem to get you anywhere, you've probably done something wrong, like that. Okay. I think I'll head over to this side. Other tactics you can use is you can poison grog. That's usually quite difficult to get to with captains because there's often people around. If you find a captain on his own, it's much better to just take them straight on. Right. So he's running away from me now. So I know he's weak to headshots, which is unsurprising considering instantly killed. So it is totally worth interrogating these guys. There you go, you see the problem with the... so you can just drop them and you can collect their things. I'll show you an example of this interrogate system again. If you just run straight in, even if they spotted you, you still got quite a while where you can just do this attack, and that just causes half the people to run away, and then most of the stuff that you want to do anyway, you can still do. So for example, I'll interrogate this guy and just show you the interface. Of course, you probably come across this, but for those who haven't, if you go onto the gain intel screen, any that you've already found, you can find more intelligence about them, so you know how to attack them. What I'm going to do here is just use it to find out a little bit about this guy. So, identity and details. So he's vulnerable to combat finishes, so if I killed instantly with combat finishes, so once I've got a hit chain on, he will die instantly. Also vulnerable to stealth and vulnerable to range, so that guy's almost a waste of time. He'd just be too easy to kill. Just a couple of other things that I wanted to just run through, just to point out. Might help you if you haven't come across. Just get to a vantage point here. Unlock these towers as fast as you can. If you want to make quick progress through the game, then they save a lot of time using fast travel. I haven't really found any benefit of advancing time just yet. I don't think the enemies react to the darkness, but it's sometimes easier to find them because they'll carry torches. A lot of these missions for the extra weapons will give you the money that you need to unlock things. Back to Sauron's army. When taking on captains, the war chief captains, I would say ensure that you have found out all the information about their elite captains that are just below them, which they use as bodyguards. When you do this, it means that when you fight the war chief, they will be on their own, which will make things massively easier. Also, gain intel on the war chiefs because you can find out their weaknesses. You can actually kill them quite quickly. Ratbag, you won't be able to fight until a certain mission, and then he will change whether or not he's a war chief or not. If you are fighting the war chiefs, what I'd recommend is taking out this entire row of people as much as you can, because if you want the achievement to kill all the war chiefs, you need to make sure no one's about to be promoted. In this, it's recommended you avoid dying as much as possible, which sounds obvious, but don't be afraid to run away from a fight, because they're less likely to move up the ranks if you just run away. However, if you do die, then they'll be promoted, which is a little bit of a nightmare for you. The other thing that I'd say is weapons and runes. Unlock as many of these as you possibly can, so you obviously need the money to do it. Have a look at these and just go through. Some of them scale up as they go. Epic ones are just good anyway. So, for example, recover all focus and L shot on any last chance success. So once you do that, it gives you all your focus and health back, etc. And the same with the dagger and the bow. So I'd recommend unlocking those as fast as possible. If you've bought the game with the DLC, then the DLC will actually give you a whole bunch of stuff that you can equip straight away. One of these epics. But I've already said about the dagger, I'd recommend using the brutalized as well. Upgrades, pick whatever you want. There are a few that I'd recommend. You need to try and make sure you get these executions straight away because they're the most useful thing in the game, and then anything that will reduce the amount of hit streaks you need to get an execution, just as in the Batman games, that is almost essential. Pin in place is a fantastic technique. I used it on that war chief before. If you hold them in place and you're using Karagor attacks, which you'll use really often, it just stops them from running away and stops you having a sort of a prolonged chase, and then them ultimately getting away, which could cause them to rank up. Pinning them in place with a Karagor attack is super effective because they'll just stand there and get murdered. Wraith Flash is given to you in a mission. That one's absolutely essential as well. Ride Karagors, I would recommend getting that as soon as it becomes available for you, because you can ride them into battle, and then you can just get off and let it do the fight for you. So at the moment, those are the greatest tips that I've got for you. There are other things that you can pick up. For example, some of the bosses are, let me just run up behind this guy and show you. Some of the captains, let me just pin him in place. Some of the captains, if you are fighting them, so you're active and you've maybe gotten a bit of an engagement you didn't want to, if you quickly tap right trigger, which puts you into the crouch position, you can actually do an execution which won't always kill a war chief or a chief or captain. If you quickly tap right button again and press the assassinate, you'll be able to do another assassination. That's worked for me on quite a few. So one assassination on a captain might not kill him straight away like that, and then you can repeat it over and over again. I've killed a few of them like that, and it's almost as if it's a glitch. Essentially, they just they can't retaliate to it. Some of them will be immune to it, and that just depends on them. It just depends on what their weaknesses and vulnerabilities are. Always make sure you check their weaknesses and vulnerabilities, because you'll end up making a fool of yourself if you run in and take the perfect range shot on them, and then they end up being immune to it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope some of those tips helped you out. If you've got any others, then you can obviously post those in the comments.